We the Mafia, we the Mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the Mafia, we the Mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the Mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the Mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia.
You know who the beats in the AFC East. We gon' grind this thing out for 17 weeks, yeah. You hating on the Bills, then you way off. Talk is cheap, meet us in the playoffs. Game day, you know we going off. Got your team captain shaking at the coin toss. We say Mafia, that means family to me, cause we stand with the team, best fans in the league.
Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the Mafia, we the Mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the Mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the Mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the Mafia.
Unstoppable team, continue to follow your dream by any means. Buffalo, get in the Super Bowl ring. Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the Mafia.
All right. A win. Another one in the books. Of course, you are listening to the Mafia Post Game show. I am your host, Jake Jordan, and of course, we have a amazing show lined up for you guys tonight. But doesn't it feel good to have another win in the books? Of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, this is the first ever Mafia Post Game show. So, of course, what's good? I am your host, Jake, a.k.a. the Northeastern Nostradamus, a.k.a. the Michael Jordan of Young Bills podcasters. But most importantly, I'm your host of the Mafia Post Game show right here on Buffalo FamBase on this YouTube channel, brought to you by Del Reed and all the awesome people over at 26 Shirts. So, while you're at it, if you're brand new here, join the OG Mafia today. And what that means is hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. I mean, Buffalo FamBase did start the Bills Mafia movement, so it's only right for you to become an OG. But I got an awesome show for you guys. I got a lot of stuff to break down. I've got a whole list here. I'm really doing this as if it is my normal podcast, which I do on Fridays, so make sure to go check that out as well. But we have a giant win here in the books, and there's a lot of stuff to break down because when we first got into the game, I thought, man, this game is going to be a blowout. I'm not going to have anything negative to say about this game. I just wanted to be hyped this whole entire time. And, well, I got to tell you, there's a lot to break down, but I got one thing for you. Do you like Labatt Blue? And I know that's a dumb question because, of course you do. It's Labatt Blue. Do you like supporting charity? Well, of course, like I told you, this show is presented by 26 Shirts. So, go on over to 26 Shirts right now and pick up the Labatt's Giving t-shirt that helps support Feed More Western New York. It's the time of giving, so why not get an awesome t-shirt and help some people out during the holidays? This shirt does go off the website on Tuesday, so get it while it is available. And I mean, just look at the shirt. It is amazing. Of course, if you're listening to this on the recording podcast that comes out afterwards, you can't see it. Just go over to 26 Shirts on Twitter and you can see it right there. And guys, there's a lot of stuff like going into this game. There was a bunch of stuff on Twitter too that was like, all right, before the game, I mean, the players were already getting at each other. I mean, these guys were already pumped full of energy. I mean, it's Sunday night football. Of course, you're going to go in with a bunch of energy, but it already started with Diggs and Jair Alexander going at each other. I mean, you saw it. They were in the tunnel coming out, already going at each other. And when you knew that, if you know Stephon Diggs, well, then you knew what was going to happen in this game. And that was going to be that Stephon Diggs was going to try to make Jair Alexander his son. To put it lightly, he was going to try and make him his son. And I would say that there were a couple plays where he did get him, but it really wasn't, a big battle between him and Alexander. They both made some big plays. Alexander later in the game. And of course, we'll talk about that because of course, I have to talk about things that I liked and what I didn't like. And of course, there are a lot of things that I liked, but there are some things that I didn't like. So we will talk about that as well. But another thing that happened, what was up with Quay Walker? I mean, like it looked like a routine sideline tackle, and then he just ends up, it looks like a Buffalo Bills sideline member just tried to help him up, and he just was having nothing to do with it. And of course, Chris Collinsworth was saying that, oh, maybe he said something to him, but it really didn't look like anything other than he was just trying to help him up. But he wanted nothing to do with that. So of course he picks him up, and then once he flails his arms and starts getting a little bit physical, you see Sean McDermott, the wrestler, decide that he's going to take Quay Walker. He's kind of putting it in his own hands there, and well, Quay Walker didn't like that as well. I mean, if there's one person that I do not want to get their hands on me, it's probably Sean McDermott, because I, as a wrestler, do know that, Sean McDermott, he probably knows about 5 to 10 different ways to take that man down right there, had something really popped off. But of course, Quay Walker, there is a flag on the field, and then he's walking off the field, and they're like, no, hold on. New York just called in. When New York calls in, that's kind of, like, oh, okay. Like this stuff's getting real serious. So, of course, they call down. They looked at the replay. They thought that they needed to eject Quay Walker. And honestly, if you're on the sidelines like that, just even if a coach says something, just ignore it. And I think you could see that when you saw Matt LaFleur really kind of just like talking to him, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing at this point? So, of course, Quay Walker gets tossed. That's a big hit for their defense not coming in. But, of course, you're here. And if you are here, I know it's super late, and we're kind of a smaller channel as of right now, so not a lot of people are finding this as of right now. If you're watching on Twitter, though, feel free to go at it. Let me know what you guys feel and how you're feeling after this game, because the Bills win. It's 27-17, and the Bills are now 6-1, and they're the leaders of the AFC, and they need to keep it that way. I mean, I don't know how much I can stress that the Buffalo Bills need to keep at it like this. Of course, they get the New York Jets next week. What we saw from the New York Jets today, it doesn't feel like it should be a hard game, but because it's one of those interdivisional matchups, you kind of know that it's going to be a tough game, right? So, of course, they're leading the AFC, and they need that number 1 seed. I mean, let's not get it twisted here, okay? They need this number 1 seed. And I know they can fight their way through the playoffs again. This is a really, really good team. But, it's just nicer to have everybody have to come to Buffalo more than us having to go anywhere else, especially Kansas City, which it almost feels like if you watched any football today, all of the competition in the AFC, it really just seems like it's Buffalo, Kansas City, and a bunch of other people. Like it is just not close. For some reason in the NFL this year, it is so the parity in the league of just so many average teams. There's a lot of average football being played right now. So I just think the Buffalo Bills, they showed in the second half today what it looks like when the Buffalo Bills struggle and they are playing average. And well, that is still better than the normal average that you would see in the rest of the NFL. So, of course, the Bills did win 27-17. I mean, it really felt like it should have been more points than that. Of course, Chiefs fans, they're on a bye week this week, so they were all piling in mentions talking about, hey, what like the refs are selling, all this stuff. Like they were really supporting the Packers because, of course, they're going to be preying on our downfall every single game. So definitely things that I liked. Really, these are the kind of things that we got to go into, because overall, I think the Buffalo Bills did play a good game, especially in the first half. They look like the same team that we have seen since, the beginning of the season. Of course, they had a spell there where they weren't as good, but things that I liked, man, that Bills defensive line, man. If you told me a couple years ago that, hey, we're going to have Von Miller and this team is going to be absolutely amazing, I would have been like, that's awesome, but there's no way we got Von Miller. Well, guess what? We have Von Miller, and the pressure that this Buffalo Bills defensive line is able to put on any opponent is absolutely insane. Kind of before we had to really scheme up pressures and things like that, and sometimes blitz, they brought it up in the broadcast that, hey, this Buffalo Bills team, they are getting pressure with 4, which is what I have been waiting for, has been the Buffalo Bills to be able to get natural pressure with 4. And, you know, there were a couple of things all over this game that I'm sitting here going, man, this defense is getting after it. I mean, if you watched Matt Milano this game, go ahead and check out my Twitter feed where I basically was like, Matt Milano, not only is he a very good-looking man, which I had a whole discussion with my brother about, he is a dog. Like, Matt Milano was flying around the field today, and he's been doing it all year. I mean, Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds have been playing like the best linebacker duo in the NFL these last few weeks. And in reality, if you think about it, while Tremaine Edmonds had a few missed tackles today that it's just like, oh, come on, man. Like, he still had 13 total tackles. I mean, there's people on Twitter right now saying that, oh, Tremaine Edmonds had a terrible game. He didn't. He had 13 tackles. He led the team in tackles. I just don't know what more Tremaine Edmonds has to do. Yeah, he misses a few crucial tackles, which then, you know, inflate the rushing stats of the Green Bay Packers. But in reality, you're not going to be able to stop them every single time. Yes, of course, he's going to be looking to get paid. But if you think about Tremaine Edmonds, he still had a decent game. He led the team in tackles. That's kind of all you can ask for him. Yes, I do want him to make every single tackle, but is that going to happen? No, probably not. So really, I really love the Bills defense this game. The big thing that I wanted to say is that I don't know if any police officers were watching this game, but I really do think that you guys need to go and make sure that Jordan Phillips registers his shoulder as a classified weapon, because the shoulder tackle that Jordan Phillips did twice in the game, I wish I had the photos to show you guys right here. The shoulder tackle that man made was absolutely nasty. Aaron Jones literally did a 180 and flipped and flew the other way. That man has a registered weapon on his shoulder, and like, he did it twice. And I just can't see this game, like, outside of the second half with some blunders and the way that they were scheming it, I just don't see how this isn't the best defense in the NFL. I just don't. I mean, there are a couple of great defenses in the NFL right now, but the Buffalo Bills are definitely up there and should be the team that a lot of people are talking about when it comes to best defense in the league. I mean, I already know Chris Sims was talking about it, and Chris Sims was saying that, oh, last year they were kind of a paper defense, which in turn I kind of don't disagree with. I know a lot of people are like, oh, they were still the number one. Yeah, but we did play some bums. I mean, we got to be honest with ourselves of that. But we can be honest with ourselves because now when you look at this defense, you're like, oh, yeah. I mean, this defense, this looks like a number one defense. The numbers that they are allowing, they look like a number one defense. But you know what else looked really, really good today? That Buffalo Bills run game, baby. Now, I love running the ball. And I know that Justice, my boy, was at the game. And there was a nice photo that the Buffalo Bills Twitter put up that actually has Justice in it. And it is probably the greatest photo that has ever been posted on their social media. And no, I'm not biased at all. But the run game, right? I had a feeling that Justice saw that because he saw what was happening in the second half with the run game. But I know he had to be happy in that first half. And don't worry, we are going to have Justice in here a little bit later. I'm going to send him the link. He's going to jump in here. It's going to go back to a two-man show, at least at that point. And we're going to talk about it because he is at the game. and he might still be at Bills Mafia House. So we're going to have boots on the ground there. Justice will be there. But let's talk about this run game a little bit, right? The first half, I mean, Devin Singletary just is proving, with all of these rumors that the Buffalo Bills want to go look at another running back. Oh, let's get Alvin Kamara. Oh, let's put feelers out for Cam Akers. Oh, they were in the Christian McCaffrey sweepstakes. It's like Devin Singletary heard that and was just like, just use me like Christian McCaffrey. Just use me like Alvin Kamara. Why not? Why not just do it? And what really happens is Singletary had 14 carries for 67 yards. In reality, a huge chunk of those came from the first half. In the second half, you know, he wasn't doing too hot. He had a couple of good runs, but the tail of the second half is my boy James Cook. James Cook went out there, and it was almost like he heard, oh, they want to get Alvin Kamara. Maybe I'm going to be involved in that trade package. I don't want to be involved in that trade package. I want to be right here. And what happened was the Buffalo Bills actually used James Cook in the way that a lot of us thought they were going to do. That was go line him out wide. Hey, let's give him the ball. Let's try to get him to the edges. And what did James Cook do? Dude, he cooked. Literally in my notes, I have a little tiny book here that I take notes on during the game. He took the ball. He cooked. And I'm just sitting here going, he needs more touches. Him and Devin Singletary, I know that they want them to share. But in reality, when I'm looking at it, I'm like, James Cook is the future of this running back position. If not, he's the future of the backup running position, or the guy that you're going to be using, you know, just all over the place. The guy who's going to be your gadget running back. You're going to line him out wide. That's why we drafted. And the dude had one reception for 41 yards that I was just losing my mind at. I mean, you just see him. He goes, he gets behind two defenders, completely open space behind it. Josh Allen, just a little floater over him. And I mean, James Cook in space showed you, hey, this is why they drafted me. And I'm sitting here going, man, James Cook, not only did he go five carries for 35 yards, which is about 7 yards a carry, which is very efficient, by the way. James Cook, I just look at it and I'm like, that guy can be the future as long as they continue to use him in that way. And I don't think a lot of people would disagree with that. So, of course, the run game also did help close out the game. The Bills got a lot of effective running from Devin Singletary towards the end of the game that really kind of set them up. But the things I didn't like, I just did not like Josh Allen in the second half. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, Josh Allen's a human. Obviously, I do not expect Josh Allen to be an alien. I do not expect Josh Allen to go out there and be perfect on every single series. I just don't expect it. And a lot of you, like, maybe you do. Maybe Josh Allen has set that standard up so high that you're like, hey, no, he's got to be perfect on every single drive. I just do not have that expectation because I know that in this game, this guy, he's going to, like, there's going to be moments where he struggles. And sometimes that just has to do with some of his overall play. And you guys know I'm talking about the interceptions at the end of the game. Otherwise, Josh Allen gave me a pretty good game in fantasy, right? But those interceptions, man, they kind of killed at the end of the game. That's kind of, it felt like Josh Allen really being like, hey, I can force this ball. But in reality, it was kind of like, Josh Allen, maybe don't force that throw. Sometimes Josh Allen, there's that thing that they call arm arrogance, right? Sometimes Josh Allen's like, I am just going to force this ball in there and he's going to, but it just didn't work out. Josh Allen, in that second half, there was a couple times where it's like, the Bills just need to score there. And Josh Allen just on a couple of throws where it's like, dude, just don't do that. It ends up with Josh Allen then throwing 2 interceptions. And it just really didn't work out for us in the second half there. And then the run defense, of course, after the half, it really felt like that the Buffalo Bills kind of made some adjustments on defense, and that just did not work out for them. They ended up going back to it. But look, all the Green Bay Packers could do was run the ball. Like, They completely abandoned their passing game outside towards the end of the game, where there was an absolute beauty that Aaron Rodgers threw for a touchdown. But like, they can run the ball. They pretty much abandon it. And it kind of just felt like, okay, this Packers team, when they first started, they were kind of aggressive and they knew, hey, we need to score because this team is good. The Buffalo Bills are the cream of the crop. You're not going to beat them by just trying to run the ball and settle for field goals. It just doesn't work. I mean, there was a beautiful tweet that came out that said the Packers have created the perfect formula for the for against the Buffalo Bills. It's keep Josh Allen off the field, run the ball, and I forget what the other thing is, but it really didn't matter. And then what? It was still be down by 3 scores. Like, it literally doesn't work. If you really go back and look at what was the one thing that, you know, stop those 90s Bills. I mean, just look at that first Super Bowl with Super Bowl 25, keeping Jim Kelly and them off the field, running down the entire clock. That was the game plan. But the thing is that that's kind of been the game plan still. It was when they wanted to beat the Chiefs and Mahomes. Guess what? That doesn't work anymore. Like, these teams, you know, especially with a great defense that we have, you know, when they lock down and commit to stopping that run, I mean, you're not going to be able to just run and take the time off of the clock. You just can't do it anymore. And the Buffalo Bills are built to destroy kind of that game plan against them. So definitely the second half was really, really sloppy. I mean, it really showed that this team can sometimes play average, and they played average and they still ended up pulling out the win. And that's kind of something that I did like about this game, is that you could see that the Buffalo Bills were struggling, but still were able to pull out this game. That is something that, you know, a lot of us wanted to see from this team. I mean, we saw it in the Ravens game. They struggled at the beginning, and they were able to come back and look like the Bills we knew and win that game. For this game, they started off real strong, but they were still able to pull out the win, even though they were really struggling at the end. So definitely, I like that. One other thing that I just did not like was Jordan Poyer getting hurt. Like, I mean, obviously you never want to see one of your players get hurt, but Jordan Poyer getting hurt, I mean, if there's one dude in the secondary that you don't want to get hurt, it's Jordan Poyer getting hurt. And of course, it's the elbow, and he's been dealing with the elbow thing kind of since training camp. So he is officially out of the game. And with this elbow injury, we don't know a ton more about it. Of course, there will be updates probably in the coming days, but Jordan Poyer was out. Maybe it was a precautionary thing, like, hey, maybe I tweaked it a little bit. All right, no, we're pulling you out of the game because we're up. We trust Jaquan and we trust DeMar back there. And overall, those guys really held it down. But yeah, Poyer getting that injury, that was terrible. So what I'm going to do before I get into any of this last talk here is I'm going to send a StreamYard invite to my boy Justice, and he will pop in here, probably being that guy that's boots on the ground. And of course, we will talk about that a little bit more. But really, what are the things that this showed me? Well, we do know that the trade deadline is coming up, and we do know that the Buffalo Bills have been shopping around a little bit for a running back. But I think today showed that I don't think that the Buffalo Bills do need a running back as much as a lot of people think. I think a lot of people want us to go be flashy and get guys like Alvin Kamara or a CMC. I wouldn't even call Cam Akers flashy. I would consider that guy just not worth it and doesn't really bring anything to your offensive stable that you don't already have already. So I truly just don't think that we need a running back. And of course, a little bit of trade deadline talk. I can see my boy Justice is in here already. So let's get him in here. We've got some boots on the ground in Orchard Park. Justice, I'm adding you to the stream. What's up, brother?
Bro, I mean, it's good to get a win. I gotta admit though, it's I think my phone is a little twitchy because like you sound like a robot. But what's going on, Jake?
Bro, we're living. we are living right now. I mean, it was tough towards the end of the game, but you know, we pulled it out. But how was the experience, man? You ended up on Bill's Twitter with like probably the greatest photo I've ever seen.
Shout out to my boy Anthony. He was Jesus for Halloween, and he got a couple snaps, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna be on a lot more pages than just the Bills social media page. But it was cool, and I got to sit next to him, so that was really really dope. But people was talking about how Josh Allen didn't play well and all this and that and this and that, but the Bills got a W, and I mean that's you know what was for me today. I feel like the Bills wanted to prove a point, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like I keep saying that we run through Josh Allen. Without Josh Allen, we can't do anything. What did they do today? They came out and won basically without Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Without him being Superman. They went out there, they ran the ball really, really well. So they showed that they can play January and February football in Orchard Park, because that's where people are going to have to come through to if they want a chance to play for a Super Bowl. But I think that they wanted to come out and prove a point, and I mean they held Rodgers down. So they got another big W. Josh's numbers weren't great, but I'm not worried about it. It's a one-off.
Yeah, Josh Allen, he really did struggle there towards the end, but I didn't really think that that was much of a bad thing, because I felt that this Bills team needed to show that they could finish a game out even while they were struggling. And kind of one of the big things that I got out of that was James Cook, man. What did you see out of James Cook that, I feel like it kind of puts those Alvin Kamara rumors and stuff to bed? James Cook today looked like what we drafted him to be.
Yeah, he showed a lot of explosiveness. He showed what we wanted him to show when he came here to Buffalo, right? It was like we have, a good running back in Devin Singletary who we trust with the football in his hands. He can obviously make plays, but we need somebody who can score, or who is a threat to score anytime they touch the football. He showed that pop. He showed that explosiveness. He showed that speed. And he went out there. He had a really good game, man. I feel like I don't even feel like the Bills tried today. It was just like, what a mom? What a podcast. Yeah. I feel like the Bills wanted to prove a point in terms of getting out there and showing that they can run the football, and they did that. And imagine that they can run the football and have Josh Allen playing like a magician, then these guys are truly unstoppable. But bro, my phone is dead, about to die, and I still got to get home. So I'm gonna hit you later.
I got you,
bro.
Yeah, I got you. That was Justice, of course. Boots on the ground in Orchard Park after a Bills dub. Justice, thank you for being here, man. All right, so now it's back to me again, and we got a couple of little things to close this out again. This isn't going to be a super long show. This is the first ever Mafia Post Game show. So, of course, again, presented by 26 Shirts. Go and get your Labatt's-giving shirt today. I mean, that thing looks absolutely amazing. Of course, in partnership with Labatt Blue. And you're listening on the home of the founders of the original Bills Mafia. So why not join the OG Bills Mafia today? And if you're listening on the pod feed, which I know some people do literally only listen to the pod feed, then make sure to, if you have a YouTube account, go on and subscribe. Join the OG Bills Mafia today. I mean, why would you not want to be a part of this? The people who founded Bills Mafia. And if you are a true Bills Mafia, why not be an OG? So definitely the one thing that I want to close this out with is some trade deadline talk. A couple of little things came and trickled out that, the Bills were interested in things like Alvin Kamara. Look, I feel like the Alvin Kamara thing was really, they took a hold of something and they made it a bigger story than it probably was. Look, if Alvin Kamara was available, we do know that Brandon Beane loves to, hey, I'm just giving you a call. What is the asking price? I mean, I'm not expecting him to be like, oh, no, we need Alvin Kamara. I mean, Alvin Kamara on this team would be absolutely amazing. But I just do not think that the phone call went any longer than what are you guys asking for? Well, from you guys, since your first round pick is probably going to be closer to a second, we want your first and your second and a player. And then Brandon Beane was like, okay, well, that's too steep for us. I am bye. Like that's pretty much it. Like everybody kind of assumed that this was going to be a real serious talking point. I just don't think it was. So overall, I think the Bills showed today, like Justice said, that the run game, it's there. It just has to be called correctly. And we got guys there that can execute. And even when Josh Allen has a down game like he did in the second half today, the Bills showed that they're still a good enough team to be able to pull that out. And I mean, OBJ apparently is going to make his decision around trade deadline time. So maybe OBJ gets thrown in the mix here. And, you know, you got a series where Stephon Diggs goes down because he bit his tongue or something like that. Having an OBJ in the field, it does not. It sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So I definitely think that that's kind of just like a little bit of an icing on the cake. Kind of like what the Eagles are doing right now. The Eagles, again, while they're not necessarily a team that I'm sitting here worrying about, because you don't really have to worry about that team until you meet them in the Super Bowl, if that is what's going to happen. They are definitely adding on to their squad. And I think that the Bills are in a position to be able to do that as well. So, of course, a lot of things that were good in this game, a lot of things that were kind of like in this game, and a lot of things that I'm just like, man, we need to do better at that. And some things coming out of it where, you know, Jordan Poyer gets hurt. Obviously, that is not ideal, but is something that we will see him managing throughout the week as we move on to the New York Jets. And, of course, the Bills still your leaders in the AFC. So, of course, this has been the short version of the Mafia Post Game show. It's going to be a lot more intricate when I don't have to go live at midnight, almost 1 o'clock. So we're going to have a lot more things, a lot more people involved, segments with graphics, all that stuff. But right now, Bills get a huge dub against the Green Bay Packers. And, well, I don't think that we can really end this any other way except for playing some music. And absolutely make sure that you follow the Buffalo FamBase Twitter page if that's how you're watching this, if you haven't already followed already. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and slap the subscribe button, like legitimately slap it. I want you to break your phone and join the OG Bills Mafia today. This has been the Mafia Post Game Show presented by everybody at 26 Shirts. And, well, everybody, we're going to get out of here, and I am just going to leave you with this. Go Bills.
Cause you know we not losing. Got another touchdown, yeah. Got another touchdown, yeah. Got another touchdown, yeah. Got another touchdown, yeah. Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the Mafia, yeah. Reppin' the Mafia Bills, Mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah.